Namaste. And please stay tuned to part 2 of our gentle yoga on connecting our community. Hi, I'm Pat Shoemaker. Welcome to Connecting Our Community. Our guest tonight is Cheryl Kravitz, and Cheryl is currently teaching gentle yoga, and hopefully you saw part 1. This is part 2, more gentle yoga. And Cheryl, if you could just remind viewers what gentle yoga is.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes people think they can't do yoga. They say, I'm too stiff, I don't know how to bend, whatever. Gentle yoga really works on all body parts, all the poses, but we can adapt poses to basically anybody. I teach people who are in wheelchairs. I teach people who have dementia. I teach survivors of all kinds of illnesses, and they can do yoga, and yoga really helps them. So gentle means it's for everybody.
I actually just saw a news story, excuse me, about yoga being taught in the prisons and how it just relaxes. You don't have to do the poses perfectly. You don't have to be totally bendable and make yourself a pretzel, but it's the breathing and it's the relaxation that really is the core and the basics, I think, that people really can use even if they don't want to do it for, fitness or athletic type things.
Well, yoga basically means connect. It means to yoke in Sanskrit. And so what we like to say is that yoga really does connect the breath, it connects movement, and it connects how you are in the world. It connects your mind. So it's all of those things, not just one thing.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you teach yoga to people with dementia and also to people who are survivors of trauma.
Yes.
And how does that impact your people that you teach?
Well, it's really interesting. I came up with this idea to use either nursery rhymes or show tunes from the 30s or 40s, things that somebody with forms of dementia, Alzheimer's for instance, may not remember what he or she had for breakfast this morning, but they might remember a bicycle built for two. Or, this little piggy went to market. So I use that, and that reminds them of the song, and then we use that for their breath. So an example of that would be to teach them yoga breathing. We sing happy birthday. We sing it actually to my dog, and we sing happy birthday to Max, and then I ask them to take a deep breath in and then blow out the candles. And it really does help relax the person. It's really interesting to see how far many of them have come.
And that's what I was going to ask next. Have you noticed in the people with dementia particularly that you have been working with, have you seen a change from beginning to however many sessions in?
Absolutely. There's a couple people that I've worked with for over a year now. And absolutely, some of them they didn't even remember who I was in the beginning, and now they know my name.
Wow.
And one of them in particular, this is so great, she doesn't know the word yoga, but she knows what she's doing, and she hears my voice and goes, I love yogurt. And I think, you know what? You do.
You do.
That's great.
That is really wonderful. And I would imagine their families are thrilled as well.
Yeah, and I do a lot of work with caregivers. I've done workshops for caregivers of people with dementia, and it really does help the families because I show them the poses, I teach them the songs, although sometimes they know the songs, and they can go back and then do those same poses, those same songs with their family member.
And I would imagine also as a caregiver being under such stress that doing the yoga themselves helps as well in the stressful situations that they encounter every day with their family members.
Exactly. There are many tests that you can do, personal tests that you can do that show you levels of stress in yourself if you are a caregiver. And first off, we do that so that they know exactly what to look for. And then I might spend 10-15 minutes with them teaching them the breathing techniques and very simple poses before we go into what they can do with their loved ones.
And speaking of what you teach, would you like to show us? We're sitting in chairs that are not the usual chairs that we use on this show for a reason. So we're both going to give this a shot.
Okay. So what I do with breathing, particularly with somebody who's brand new to yoga, I might do that same happy birthday thing and ask them to very slowly put one hand on their heart and one hand on their stomach and begin to breathe in and then breathe out.
Through the mouth or the nose?
I think either one, because if somebody's brand new, it's probably easier just to not complicate it by just saying, so breathing in through your nose and then breathing out through your mouth. There's a breath in yoga called the Ujjayi breath, and the Ujjayi breath sounds like the sound of an ocean, or when you're fogging up a mirror and you that's Ujjayi breath, and it really resonates through your body, and it almost sounds like an ocean wave. Or somebody once joked to me that it actually sounds like Darth Vader saying your name. So however you want to do it, but one hand on your heart and one hand on your stomach. Breathe in for 3, and then breathe out Ujjayi. Breathe in, breathe out. And you do a couple rounds of that, and that really kind of loosens everything up. And I love to feel as your heart rises and your abdomen rises, and you know that breath is working.
And for people at home, it seriously does give you something that you can feel.
Yeah.
You would think, oh, this is ridiculous. I breathe pretty much every day, but that just really does. So I hope the people at home are doing this as well.
And one thing that's interesting, if it's somebody who is not in a chair, BKS Iyengar, who was one of the founders of modern day yoga, used to start his classes with everybody lying down on a mat. And the reason for that is he felt that was a way that they could be more grounded. Well, when you're down on a mat, lying right down, and you've got palm on your heart and on your abdomen, you really can feel and see that breath rising and falling.
Yeah.
It's great.
And what other things would you be doing?
Well, here's an example. You had mentioned earlier that you were stiff in a leg.
Well, I had pulled a
Okay.
little something.
Grab your belt.
Grab my belt.
Now here's my cautionary tale. Always put the buckle in your hand, so otherwise it's going to whack you.
Oh, yeah, and I would do that.
And then strap right under your toes on the ball of your foot.
Okay.
Hold the belt taut.
Okay.
And then just raise your leg and lower your leg. And by having the belt, what's happening is you're taking a lot of that stress and tension. You could even put both ends of the strap in one hand and bring the belt out to the side. Yeah. And then you could go the other way.
Ooh.
Whatever feels good in your body. Another thing that you can do is with a tennis ball. Let me show you this.
Okay.
In our bodies, and particularly in our feet, we have connective tissue, and it's called fascia. And like if you're making chicken wings and you pull them apart and there's that white junk in between, that's what that is. Ew.
Yeah.
So you take a ball and you start to roll it, really pressing in to the ball with the bottom of your foot. You can go back and forth, up and down. And then if you want to really stretch out your thighs and your calves, your hamstrings, bring the ball back and your heel is on the floor or on the mat. If I'm standing, I really can feel that stretch. And then if I move it under this is like the world's weirdest Barbie doll shoe. You can press in to the ball of the ball with your heel, and then press into the mat with your toes, and feel that stretch going all the way up. It's really a good stretch.
Yeah, that's great. And would you do this to prevent plantar fasciitis, or if you notice the...
Both. If you have it, I have somebody in one of my classes that has it, and he loves to use the ball. Another thing you can do with the ball, and I can show you this on the floor, is you actually bring it down the backs of your legs, and that also is such a really good stretch.
Yeah.
gets really into the muscles.
Yeah, I have done it under my foot. I've never tried the rolling it up my leg, but it really is, again, people at home, you've got to do this because it's amazing. It's going to change your life.
The other thing is these blocks. The blocks are great.
Okay.
And I'm going to suggest you put the blocks under you and then put your feet on them.
Okay.
Feet are on the blocks. What that does is it helps you maintain your spine and maintain good posture. Because, for instance, I have really short legs, and you see what happens?
Ah.
This way, I can really maintain a straight spine, and my head is in line with my spine. Bring your arms up to the sides, palms together, and then flip them and go back to your sides. All the while breathing. You're doing a really great job of breathing.
Thanks. I've been practicing my whole life.
There you go. One thing you can do, and I showed this to one of the people that I work with who has dementia, you can actually get into, for example, the warrior poses. Arms are straight out, they're even. Looking out over your left shoulder at your fingertips. This is warrior pose. You can bring one arm down and bring one arm up curved and looking up at it and feeling the stretch in your side body and then doing it on the other side. And these are the stretches. You know, what I was saying before I think really holds true is that it doesn't matter if you're feeling stiff, if you have some mobility issues. I mean, it matters, but in terms of yoga, there's all kinds of ways that you can use props and that you can meet yourself where you are when you are doing these poses. And as you said earlier, it's all about the breath, your mindset, and poses which are called the asanas.
Yeah, and if you have maybe something quick for somebody who might be in a wheelchair or not able to get down on the mat, are there just some quick things for?
Well, certainly this stretch. When we do the Wizard of Oz, when we sing, we're off to see the wonderful Wizard of Oz, we can actually get into what would normally be a downward dog. So I ask the person to put the palms of their hands on their knees and just come on forward. We can go into, there's a pose called lion pose, which is a stress buster. They can do that. They love this pose. Bring your arms up like this. It's a real pose. And stick your tongue out and roar. Ah! It's a stress buster and it's a real live pose. So things like that help.
You have to let the people around you know that you're doing these poses or else they might get frightened, I think.
Well, you know, I teach some yoga in corporations and they hear this roaring coming from a room and nobody bothers us.
You scare people, don't come in. Well, believe it or not, we're halfway through. We have to take a break now. But please stay with us. We are going to get down on the mat and do some moves. Well, that should be fun. Down on the mat and, you know, really gentle yoga. Anybody can do it. Please stay tuned.
I'm Alejandro Escobedo. Music has always been my life, but that was almost taken away from me by hepatitis C. Thankfully, I received treatment and stopped cancer before it started. Yes, cancer. Most people don't know there's a link between certain viruses and cancer. I didn't know, but I do now, and so should you. That's why I've partnered with the Prevent Cancer Foundation. The 3 most common viruses linked to cancer are human papillomavirus, or HPV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. Every year, more than 27,000 men and women are diagnosed with a cancer caused by HPV, and up to 65% of all liver cancers are caused by Hep B or C. These cancers are preventable. Getting screened, vaccinated, and treated isn't scary, but cancer is. For more information, visit thinkaboutthelink.org. Together, we can stop cancer before it starts.
Hi, welcome back to Connecting Our Community. You can see that we have changed from the chairs down to the mat. I will never be able to get up again, but that's beside the point. Cheryl is here to show us some gentle yoga moves. And we had talked about using the ball for the plantar fasciitis, and you had mentioned being able to use it on your whole legs. So.
Oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
So say you've been walking or sitting or whatever, and you are stiff in your legs, and you want to get into those back muscles. You know, you can get these tennis balls really cheaply. I keep them away from my dog, who's quite interested in them. But you take the tennis ball and you put it right at your upper thigh and roll it, press into it, rolling it back and forth. And then, you know, you do it much longer. 4 fingers above your knee, the crease in your knee, pressing in it. I'm not using my muscle energy of my foot, my leg. I am just pressing it back and forth, pushing it, and then 4 below, the meaty part of your calf. Ow, but ow good.
Yeah.
Because it's breaking up a lot of that fascia, that connective tissue that really can hurt.
Yeah, and of course you would do it on both legs?
On both sides,
Yes.
absolutely.
That's excellent. So show us some of the other moves that you would do in your gentle yoga classes. Gentle meaning not crazy athletic, but it still gets the same results.
Every pose can be modified for anybody's body. I mean that, because I have worked with so many different people who say, I can't do it. Yeah, you can.
And you don't have to be a skinny little
Absolutely
model type
not.
person,
No,
obviously,
no,
to do that.
Absolutely not. No.
Okay.
Okay, so here you go. Some people say, I can't sit cross-legged on the mat. Oh, but here's some modifications. You take the blocks and you put them under your knees. So move them a little bit towards your knees. If you don't want to cross, you can bring your bottoms of your feet together. You're almost in a diamond shape. How's that?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good.
And those blocks really do make a difference.
The
That's
blocks
amazing.
make such a difference.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Those side stretches we did before, say you're feeling not stretched out in your side body. Put one palm on the block and then bring it over. You can even come down a little bit further. So
Very
you don't have to do anything that knocks your body out of alignment. It's the same kind of a pose, stretching through your fingertips. Feel it?
Yes.
Feel the side
Definitely.
body stretch? It's
Definitely.
really good.
And then as you do the poses more, you do become more limber, and then you may not have to use the blocks.
Exactly. Another
So-
one is those arm stretches. The belts, these props, all of these props are so important, particularly in gentle yoga, because when somebody says, I can't do it, you can. Iyengar, these props, you know, they were not invented by some discount store. They were invented by BKS Iyengar, who said, you know, his arms were very long, his legs were very long, and his students didn't have that. So he knew that he had to do something to help them. Here's an example. The stretches we were doing before, over your head, going one way, you're mirroring me, up overhead. And now here's a way you bring the strap behind you only to shoulder level and open your heart. How's that feel?
That feels wonderful.
Yeah, it's so good. And look, if you don't have a yoga strap lying around, you can use a tie, a belt, whatever it is,
Yeah.
to help yourself.
That's great. That really is. If you have any kind of shoulder tightness, that's a real good one.
Oh yeah, even things as simple as shrugging your shoulders up, moving your head. Whenever I do this one with people and we, you know, roll our heads around, everybody says, I can feel these cracks. Can you feel the cracks? Yeah. And somebody once said to me, that's because we're a bag of bones inside. Yes, you're feeling the cracks. It's perfectly normal to feel
Do
that.
you do this with children?
I have, yeah, and I've actually been asked to do some yoga classes for some kids. I have a friend who has little girls who are 2 and 5 years old, and they love to do yoga. So for the holidays last year, I got them each their own yoga mat, and they know how to do the poses. And now they can do, you know, they're a little low to the floor, so they can do some of the fancy poses with no problems at all.
But I'm just thinking in terms of children with ADD or ADHD or any of those kinds of things where they just really could use some relaxation in their lives. I would think that this would be, you know, yoga would be a perfect
Absolutely.
solution.
And you know what, Pat, it's similar to what we were talking about even with the people with dementia. Yoga means connect. with the kids, when I work with them, sometimes we start out, you know, you're settling and you're breathing. Sometimes we'll hold hands and just breathe. And holding hands gives them that connection. And pretty soon everyone is into the same rhythm of breathing. It's really beautiful to watch.
It is. I've been to yoga classes, not to yours, but it is beautiful to watch how everybody just, they might walk in with the tensions of the day, and doing the poses and moving through, it just really forces you, but then it doesn't force you, you just do it because it just feels so good.
Feels good. Another thing, around you, in every room there are walls. And
Hopefully.
hopefully, but I always use walls as a way to help people do yoga. There's a wonderful pose where it's called legs up the wall, basically. I'm not going to get into the Sanskrit, but you're down on your mat and your legs are straight up the wall. And these inversions are so great just to kind of clear your head and relax. So imagine your legs up the wall, you're lying on the mat, and you're just totally relaxed. It's great. Also, some of what somebody might say is a harder pose, for instance, half moon pose, where one arm is down and you're up and then your leg is up. People say, oh my God, I don't know if I can do that. However, you can do it against the wall. And I had people last week in 2 Yoga 1 classes up against the wall doing that pose, because there's the strength of themselves, but also the help of a wall behind them and the help of blocks under their hands.
And sometimes I think also just having the props gives you that, whether it's false or true, sense of security that, okay, this is going to help me. It's sort of a placebo effect, I think, that you feel like, oh, well, I can do it because I have this prop.
Yeah.
And are there any other poses that you can think of that people at home might be able to try?
Yeah, one is, I would strongly suggest people get blocks. So here's an example. You put the blocks behind you, and the lower block is behind your shoulders. Your head is resting on the upper block. Your legs are pointed towards the ceiling, and you're in what's called constructive rest pose. It opens your heart, and you're relaxed. And just like you said, you're up against the block, and it's helping you really relax. Another one is, we've talked about cat-cow in the past, which is this one that, you're going up into looking down. That's a Halloween cat. I still don't know why they call this cow pose, but I'm sure there's a reason. And then you're back in table. What I suggest to gentle yoga students is you put a block there for your head. Your arm is out to the side. You're threading the needle. This is a great shoulder stretch. Either your arm is down there, or you can go up or bind it behind your back. And what I'm finding is that people can do that. Another one, again, using these blocks, and these blocks are not expensive.
No, I know, they're very inexpensive. And certainly cheaper than a physical therapist.
Well, no kidding, that's right. If you have knee problems, I suggest putting a blanket under your knees. So you're kneeling. In this case, I'm bringing my left foot out in between the blocks, and then I'm going to stretch it out. And I'm stretching out every muscle behind my leg. This is almost like a runner's stretch. You know, these people that are doing these marathons, that they're doing this.
Exactly.
One. And then we go back and forth like that, and then do the other side. It feels really good.
Yeah, and you were showing me before, during the break, the psoas.
Yeah, the psoas muscle is a long muscle through your body, and people know of kind of where it begins, your hip crease, which is right here. To stretch that muscle feels really good. And this is another one. There's a lot of ways to do it. You bring your knee into the sole of your foot, pressing in really hard so you can feel the stretch, and then start to turn. I can feel this stretch right now, starting here and going down. The full pose, you're all the way down on the floor. But for beginners, you can just stay up here. You can even put your hands on a block, but feeling that stretch. It's wonderful.
And it's not cheating, and it's not diluting the effects of it. If you use the blocks, if you start off with a modification of some kind, you still get all of the effects, you still get all of the benefits the relaxation and everything.
Absolutely. And usually when we end a class, in my classes, what I like to do is a guided meditation. And the guided meditation could be something as simple as going through every body part and asking that individual to relax it. Or I have one where they're walking through a meadow and it's snowing, and we just feel the snow, feel the air, and then they go into Shavasana, which is the final pose.
Yeah, and we do have just a couple of minutes left, so if you want to, is there anything else that you'd like to show us, or anything else that you'd like to tell us about the yoga for people who might have disabilities, or how they can
I think
adapt this?
if whatever, most yoga studios have gentle yoga. They have yoga for people who have different kinds of needs. I teach at Willow Street Yoga, which is in Tacoma and Park and Silver Spring, and I also do some classes at Lotus Point. And in those classes, I might do some of these poses, I might do some other poses. What I like is that it's progressive. So if somebody new comes in, and then there's people in the class that have been coming for a year, I meet people where they are. So there shouldn't be, I know there's a fear of something new, but really yoga is there for everybody.
Yeah. And also, that was a good point that you brought up, that you really can get into a yoga class never having done yoga before and have other people in the class who are there every day or every week or whatever the case may be. And everyone can get something out of it because it can be modified to every single person in the class. And I think people sometimes don't realize that, and they feel intimidated, like, oh, these people have been taking this class for weeks, months, years. I could never fit into that. But really, it is for everybody, and you just do what your body tells you feels right.
Yes, and most yoga studios have different levels of class. So, for instance, at Willow Street, you can start with yoga for people with stiff bodies, a class I had taught, yoga, gentle yoga, yoga 1, and move on up through it and just see what it is. And some people never leave yoga 1 because they don't want to, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. That's great. Well, it really is a wonderful practice, and as I think I said on our last show, it is a practice because you really don't ever get perfect.
That's right.
That's not the point. The point is to do it and just to allow your body to feel the stress sort of going right out of your body. And thank you so much for spending all this time with us. Everyone at home, seriously, I hope that you contact a local yoga studio, do the moves that we showed here. If you want more information from Cheryl, you can email her at ckkyoga. CRK, excuse me, I don't have my glasses on. crkyoga@gmail.com. Thank you, Cheryl. Namaste.
Namaste.